This, my friends, is a recumbent, and it's way faster than any $10,000 pound Euro plus superbike normally seen here on this channel on GCN Tech. Now in this video, I'm going to describe everything about this bike, also why recumbents are so much faster than traditional bikes, and why this kind of bike even exists. Should we get into it? I've arrived here at Castle Combe Racetrack, so if you hear motor cars, that's exactly what they are. Now I'm going to be racing this very bike in just an hour, and if you want to see how this bike gets on against time trial specialists and time trial bikes, then make sure you head over to GCN and check out that feature. But before I do that, I think it's important that I give you the lowdown on this incredible looking bike. This, my friends, is the Cruzbike V20C, and if you're not familiar, it's a recumbent bike, and recumbent basically means when the rider is in a laid-back, reclined position with the pedals out front like this. Now, recumbents come in a few different ranges and different wheels, so you've got like the tricycle, which is the three-wheeled, you've got two-wheeled, and then you've got the open-fed and fully-fed. Now, if you're thinking about doing a land speed record, you'd probably go for a fully fed recumbent because the aerodynamic drag is so minimal. But the last time I tried riding one of those record-breaking recumbents, yeah, it didn't end well. But this is a fully open recumbent, meaning there's no fairing around me, but it's still incredibly aerodynamic. Now, as I said, the fully fed recumbents are going to be the record-breaking ones when the aerodynamic drag is reduced down so low, but this is still really, really aerodynamic. Even though my body is open and there's not a fairing around me, I'm still super reclined, meaning I'm lying down so I can cut through the air a lot better. And as we know, when it comes to traditional bikes, when you're sitting upright, the biggest force is pushing yourself through that air. And while I'm lying down, I'm able to cut through it a lot easier. If we overlay side images of a road bike, a time trial bike, and then me in a recumbent, you can see the differences in riding position, which in turn has a huge impact on aerodynamics. Typically, your commuter rider will have a CDA of 0.45, a pro road cyclist 0.29, a pro time trialist cyclist 0.18, and a recumbent, like I'm using here, 0.12. CDA is the term using to express aerodynamic drag. The lower the number, the better and faster you'll go for the same power, or the lower your power could be to ride at the same speed. Now, it's important to understand that sitting in a recumbent reclined position is a little bit harder to get the same wattage out as if you're on a time trial bike or a traditional road bike. But because this is so aerodynamic, it outweighs that tiny loss in power. So really, a recumbent should be a much faster option than the other bikes I've gone through. Now, it has to be said that seasoned recumbent professionals will be trained to put out power in this position, but myself, I'd find it so much easier to put out power on a traditional road bike. But you're probably wondering, what are the exact specs of this very bike I'm going to be racing on? The bike I'm using today is the Cruzbike V20C. First thing I should explain is that as well as the huge change in riding position this gives you, is the fact that your layout of the bike is reversed. The front wheel is at the back and the back wheel is at the front, along with the entire drivetrain placed in front of the rider. The gearing used is the same as your typical road bike. This bike is set up with SRAM electronic wireless shifting, which is great as it means there's less cabling and wires, which makes things a lot simpler. The cassette is 1036 12 speed, and I have a mix of SRAM Force and SRAM Red components. The wheels are also standard road bike wheels. These ones I've got actually from my own bike, the Elite Wheels Drive 50s. These are fitted with Pirelli P0 Race TLR SL tyres because just like a normal bike, low rolling resistance and aerodynamics are still super important. The main frame is constructed from spray-grade aluminium, a mixture of hydroformed tubes and CNC machining. The front triangle and large seat are constructed from carbon fiber to help reduce the weight. Speaking of weight, the frame weighs just 1.6 kilograms, which is actually heavier than most top spec road bikes, but the superior aerodynamics of this bike are its biggest strength. So that's a closer look at this specific setup. But what about the far broader question of why do these bikes even exist? To answer this question, we need to dive back into history, all the way back to the 1890s. The safety bike had already been invented and began to persuade more people to cycle by helping them feel safer than riding a penny farthing, which I can confirm is absolutely terrifying. But Professor Charles Challen from Geneva had other ideas compared to the safety bike and built what many people considered to be the first geared recumbent. At the time, it was actually called the normal bicycle because it placed riders in a position closer to their usual standing position, rather than feeling hunched over and forwards on the bike. Fast forward to today and the position has evolved further, still with a range of recumbents offering different position and placing the rider's body at different angles, some more upright than others. A flatter and lower riding position broadly translate to an increase in speed, which is great news for me. So that's why these recumbents are considered faster than normal bikes. And a brief insight into their history and a closer look at the exact setup I'll be racing very shortly. I'm keen to hear your thoughts though, so please let me know in the comment section if you have experienced riding one of these machines. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more GCN Tech. Oh yeah, and head over to GCN if you want to see me race it.